Hello, everyone, for episode 3 of my shame podcast, vodcast. Still don't know what to call this. So, to kind of recap what's been going on, I wanted to create a show kind of like the Dr. Frasier Crane show. If you are familiar with Frasier, it's one of my favorite TV series that I grew up with. So I wanted to create a show where people could talk about shame, vulnerability, the things that really kind of matter in life and what's going on. So I decided to make a little Facebook Live, and hopefully if I get enough subscribers on YouTube, I can get a YouTube live show where people can ask questions about mental health, talk about shame and vulnerability, and go from there. So tonight, again, I wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet. Again, talking about shame and vulnerability. The three kind of voices of shame are I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, and I'm broken. And I think all of us have this belief deep down inside that, hey, no, that's not true. We keep kind of trying to find ways to prove that to the voice of, hey, you're not good enough, you keep messing this up, whatever. Sometimes the voice is really helpful, because sometimes it encourages us to do better, to try different things, to be better than people who encouraged us or raised us, to be different from what we know. But I also think that shame can also be damaging in it tells people not to take a chance, tells people that, hey, you're not worthy of X, Y, and Z, and you will never have it. So those are a couple of the reasons that I wanted to talk about shame and talk about vulnerability, and to kind of recap what I talked about last week. I, as a man, feel it is part of my responsibility to kind of debunk the myths around being enough, being good enough, you don't have to do everything on your own, kind of going against the stereotype of what a man is supposed to be. Sorry, that was a lot of work to hold the iPad with one hand. So I am here again on a Wednesday evening. This is going to be a weekly broadcast, Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Central Time. I kind of thought that is a good time for folks. So if you have comments, suggestions, questions about mental health, counseling, shame, vulnerability, I also want this conversation to be a way for people to access mental health care when maybe mental health care is not the top priority, even though I think a lot of people know that it could be higher and that you deserve to have a higher care of yourself. So, I wanted to talk tonight about the main belief of you are enough. And I was recently reading on Facebook about Lizzo, the music artist, as well as Mr. Rogers. And I know those don't usually go together, but I kind of liked the similarities. Either one of them, and myself included, wants and likes to tell people, whether in the office or through daily interactions, that they are enough. Kind of get the idea that they're not enough. inside them or outside of them that says, hey, you're okay. And it is one of my goals in life to say, hey, you are okay, and you're great just the way you are. And the reason for the comparison between Lizzo and Mr. Rogers is because they both seem to do that. They both seem to carry a message of, hey, you're my neighbor. Hey, you're another person just like me. And you deserve to be celebrated for just who you are. And I really like that. My, I guess, soul, my insides, whatever, really resonate with the idea of people being enough just for being people, not people being enough because they did X, Y, and Z things. I don't believe that people need to prove that they're worthy of love and care and being enough through their actions. I think people deserve to know that they are enough because they are people. And again, the reason I say that is because I believe that shame, the belief that we aren't enough, is toxic and does much more harm than good. So, for example, just to kind of bring shame into what I saw today, and if you have any questions or experiences, feel free to type in the comments below. I will try to address them as I can, especially if it's live. I saw someone earlier today posted on Facebook, hey, I want to talk to this person, but I'm really scared that they're going to judge me for how I look. And I saw a lot of different reactions. Some of the reactions were, well, just get over it. Some of the reactions were, well, if they judge you on who you look, like, screw them, they're not worth talking to. And I wanted to take a similar approach, but also much more approachable. So I took the approach of, this is always up to you. And this is the approach that I kind of take with clients. Everything needs to be done in your way and in your time. So, two big components there. In your way, meaning you have the confidence and the stamina and the tools necessary to be able to talk to someone or to express yourself, but also in your own time, not feeling a pressure to be able to fix everything right now, do it right now, do it when you're not feeling comfortable. So all I did was kind of raise a couple of points, and it was basically that the good outweighs the bad. If this person were to take that risk and talk to this other person who might judge them for how they look, well, you might learn about yourself, you might find yourself a little bit braver, a little bit smarter, you might realize that, hey, if someone judges me for how I look, I don't really want to be around that person. And then you also may be pleasantly surprised, hey, that person didn't judge me for how I looked, and maybe I've been looking at the world in a whole different kind of way. So this kind of goes to what we talked about before, about kindness being a part of our daily practice of accepting ourselves. Kindness is being able to say, hey, that's something new that you didn't recognize before, whereas the shame voice, like I've mentioned before, would should on you or masturbate on you and say you should have known better, you must do this differently, or things will always be this way. Whereas kindness says, fine, you did a good job, no matter what happens, you are still worthy of love and kindness, and sometimes it still feels bad, and that's okay. Sometimes you do get rejected. Maybe this person will reject you for how you look, and that sucks. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with saying, this sucks, this hurts, I hate this feeling. The part about what we talk to ourselves about that's unhealthy is when we say, I shouldn't feel this way, or I mustn't feel this way, and we start to develop a wall around ourselves around negative emotions. It's okay to have negative feelings. It's okay to feel negativity, to feel that things aren't working out, and to feel disappointment or heartbreak or loss or whatever. Those feelings are okay to have. Just because we have a negative feeling. And again, remember, negativity, who told you that feeling is negative? There are no good and bad feelings. So if you feel something that you view as negative, it's entirely possible that is just a normal feeling, and that it is okay to have that feeling anytime, and you have every right to feel the way you do. And it is also okay if those feelings fade and you move on to other feelings that are more empowering, more positive, more impactful, more life-changing. As someone who has struggled with mindfulness and that whole meditation aspect, I know what it's like to be sitting in a room with someone just let feelings go, and they'll go away, and I would just kind of roll my eyes and think, what? No, this feeling isn't going to go away. And not only that, I don't want to let go of this feeling. I have investments in this feeling. I have a right to feel the way I do. So one of the things that I've done in my practice of mindfulness and kindness, and this whole combating shame thing, is find a way to acknowledge all of that. Find a way to say out loud, like we talked about last week, hey, I'm struggling. Allows for it to be processed differently in the brain. Saying, hey, I'm struggling, okay, that's okay, and I'm going to keep working, that no matter how this turns out, it will teach me something about where I'm going. Going, noticing different feelings inside of you, and allowing them to take shape without trying to stop them or increase them. And then the other way of acting is non-opportunistic thinking. Everything I do, I must protect myself, I must close myself off. My heart can't be broken again, I won't be able to stand it. And basically that is shame versus vulnerability. Shame is the one that says, if you tell anyone about this, nobody will understand you, you're alone in this, you must be broken or unlovable or some other crap that you really don't need to hear. Or you have the opportunistic side that says, even if I don't learn something right now from what's going on, maybe I'll learn from it in the future. Maybe there's a possibility of me taking myself to the next level. And you can kind of see that the shame voice, is very closed off. The shame voice prevents any movement in the future. Whereas the vulnerability voice allows for more movement. It allows for, hey, I'm going to keep going just the way I am, and I'm okay just the way I am. The vulnerability voice also allows for mistakes. Hey, I might mess up, and I learn from the mistake something about myself in the process, or something about other people in the process. Whereas the shame voice is much more black and white. Everything is terrible right now. I have to protect myself. This stuff is good and this stuff is bad, and I will no longer allow X in, but I'll allow Y in, and whatever. So you can kind of see that in our emotions, it's not always as black and white as we hoped it would be. With emotions, we kind of have to allow for that vulnerability voice to come in sometimes and say, you know what, I don't know everything, and I really messed up tonight, really sorry about that, and I think this will inform our decisions in the future. Whereas the shame voice would say, it's much more black and white, like I said, it's all or nothing. You are broken, you are unlovable, and you are not enough. And if we listen to that voice, there is no growth, there is no change, there is no opportunity. If you are broken, unlovable, or not enough, then there is no point to trying. So if that were true, you wouldn't try. And I think most people, including myself, get down on ourselves and kind of think like, why do I keep trying this? I keep messing up, or I keep getting no's, or whatever's going on. But ultimately, that vulnerability is correct. In order to keep trying, we have to have a fundamental belief in ourselves and other people that I'm going to learn from this, I'm going to continue onward, and I'm okay. I am enough. To hear Mr. Rogers say that you are my neighbor, you are like me, you are not the only one who feels this way. That is another tactic of shame, to say nobody else feels the way you do, nobody else is going to understand you. And that's not true. We can never step into another person's head and say, oh wow, I completely understand what you're going through. And we can also share our experiences to say, hey, I know how much that hurts, and I'm so sorry. I may not know exactly how much you hurt, and that doesn't mean that you are alone. Just because we don't feel pain at the same level doesn't mean that we all don't experience pain. We all do. And if you think about it, if I feel a pinprick as, getting a limb severed, and someone else feels a pinprick as a pinprick, we have no basis of comparison between the two. So it doesn't really matter if someone feels a paper cut as a limb being cut off versus just a paper cut. There's no grand scheme of comparison. We all feel it in some respect, and that is enough to know that somebody else understands where you're coming from, and possibly where you're going, and what might be a struggle in the future. So thank you again for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below. can find me at the one Stephen B on YouTube as well as Instagram. My Instagram isn't anything fancy, it's just pictures, obviously, I take of my city and where I'm living, sometimes traveling. But my YouTube, if I am to get my YouTube live podcast, whatever I'm doing, going, I need at least 1,000 subscribers. So please subscribe on YouTube, share with your friends. You can share this Facebook post, it is public, or you can share the upload I send to YouTube at some point. Hopefully I'll upload it tonight. Please feel free to share that and subscribe. I would love for this to kind of become a global thing, but also a weekly thing that people can depend on when they need a leg up or a different way of thinking. So, again, thank you for joining. I look forward to talking with you again, and I saw a few people join, so thank you for watching. I look forward to speaking with you all again soon, and please ask questions, say your comments, or let me know if you have any suggestions. I will speak with you soon. Thank you.